Welcome everybody to ERM 201 Bulk Electronic Portfolio Management. This is Yoel Cortex, Senior Librarian at Ex Libris. Before we jump right in to administrative comments, number one, I'll remind everybody that this is the page for the Managing Electronic Resource Series. In case somebody does not already have it, I'll be sending this out in the chat. Those of you who are viewing this recording on YouTube, you'll be able to find this link to this page that we're looking at right now in the description of the video. That's administrative issue number one. Administrative issue number two is last week in the chat, there were some questions and comments about contributing portfolios to the community zone. Specifically, there were questions about if the portfolio is contributed to the community zone and then the institution changes it, what's going to happen. So all of the issues regarding contributing to the community zone will be handled in a dedicated session. I'm scrolling down here among the sessions, and you'll see here that on December 5th, we're going to have one specifically on contributing to the community zone. So that's where we'll cover all of the topics about contributing to the community zone. Again, there were some questions and comments about that in the chat last week, and I said we'll be handling that in a later session. And this, of course, would be the most appropriate place because it's dedicated to contributing to the community zone. Okay, so let's do now our session here. If anyone has any questions or comments during the session, send them in the chat. I'll be looking at the chat periodically, and we'll respond that way. All of the materials, by the way, are on this page. You've got a link to the presentations, also a link to the YouTube playlist, which includes all of the recordings. Okay, so bulk electronic portfolio management. You may recall that when we created local portfolios last week, I mentioned that it's advantageous to have portfolios inside an electronic collection, and I stated that this week we will see why. So a lot of the bulk electronic portfolio management that we're going to be doing today is inside the collection from the portfolios tab of the service. We're going to see specifically what I'm referring to. So that's primarily where we'll be doing the bulk portfolio management. There's also a job that updates the portfolios, and we'll be looking at that as well. Very briefly, we'll be looking at the PowerPoint. Primarily, as usual, we'll be looking inside Alma. So as I just mentioned, there's two methods of bulk changing portfolios or updating portfolios, even deleting portfolios, adding portfolios, etc. One is through the electronic service editor, which includes the portfolio loader. We'll be looking at that. And then there's a job called Change Electronic Portfolio Information, which works on a set of portfolios. Just in case there's anybody who hasn't been in any of the previous sessions, when I say portfolio, I mean a title of an electronic resource, in our case, which is part of an electronic collection. So there's some roles which are necessary in order to be able to do what I'll be showing. There's the electronic inventory operator, which manages the electronic inventory of the institution. There's the electronic inventory operator extended, number 2 here, which is like the electronic inventory operator, but when the extended is also part of the role, that means the staff user can also delete, the additional delete privilege. By the way, that extended appears in many roles, not just electronic inventory operator, and that extended is like the role which doesn't include extended, but also has the delete option. Then there's repository manager. So for example, the user which I'm going to be using here, if we look at her, this is Alicia Hen, and if we look at her user, we'll see that she has the electronic inventory operator and the electronic inventory operator extended. And if we were to say add role, we'll also be able to see what are the properties of such a user. For example, here, if we see here, it manages electronic inventory of the institution, and the extended is like that, but has the additional delete privilege. So those are the roles which are necessary. And these are the roles we just saw now. They're on the scope of the universe of the institution level. Okay, so where we'll be doing most of our maintenance today, maintenance or bulk updates of the portfolios, is going to be in the Portfolios tab of the Electronic Service Editor. So let's take a look at how we get to the the service. And we'll do that right now. So if I do a search here for example, electronic collection name, there's really 3 ways we can get there. And then I'll say which is the preferred if you want to go right there, and why do the others exist. So you can edit the collection one way, and these are all in the PowerPoint, so you can see them here. Here's the options. If we edit the collection and go to the additional tab and scroll down, this is the service. The service is 99.9% of the time full text. And if we edit that service, we get to the service editor, and where we can do the global updates to the portfolios is in the Portfolios tab. Here we're going to see the different options as we go along today. So that's one way. Just to refresh, we searched for an electronic collection. We edited the collection. From the additional tab, we edited the service. And then we went to the Portfolios tab. Rather than going that way, we can search for the collection. And instead of editing, we can go right to the edit service. So by clicking edit service here, it's as if we went to the edit collection and then went to the additional tab and then edited the service. And that's exactly what it says here. The first option, which we just saw, is to edit the collection, go to the additional tab, and then go to the edit the service, and then go to the portfolio list. In any case, here, we can also go directly to the edit service. So now we're in the service, and then we can go to the Portfolios tab. And if we want to get directly to the Portfolios tab, I mean, you may have another need to get to one of these other tabs, but if you want to go directly to the Portfolios tab in one click, then after searching for an electronic collection, we can go right to edit the full text portfolios. And that brings us right here to the service, to the Portfolios tab. And these are the different options we're going to be looking at in addition to the job that we mentioned a little while ago. So that's getting to the Portfolios tab of the Electronic Service Editor. And that's where we're going to be doing most of our work today. Okay, let me just see before we get in there. It's all outlined here, so you can take a look at this PowerPoint on your own. So before we jump in here, let me just see if there's any questions or comments on what I just mentioned. Looking at the chat here. And okay, so someone say it's a user that has the extended delete privileges can just delete portfolios one by one, or can also run the delete. He or she can also run the job to delete the electronic portfolios. And also, he or she, the user who has the extended, can also, from within here, choose and say delete selected. There's a job you mentioned. There's a job to delete portfolios. There's also the ability here to delete portfolios, and also here to delete portfolios. And even if I was to search directly for a portfolio, electronic portfolios, and for example, we'll take this first one, just so I'm going directly in. So here, let's just get rid of this part here. There's also here an option to delete. So if the user has that extended role, he or she can delete in any of those ways. Okay, so let's move on. Back to the electronic collection. We'll go into the electronic collection, which we have been using now, although I'm just showing one that's free journals in case you want to go into Primo and look at them, but it's all the same for all types of collections. So let's go into that portfolios, edit text, edit full text portfolios. So there may be a case where you have portfolios in a certain collection and you want to move them to a different collection. For example, you may be deleting a electronic collection, but you want to save some of those portfolios. You have another electronic collection, like we created, if you recall last week, a local electronic collection. You may want to move them from one electronic collection to another and then delete the first one, the first collection. That's one use case, but there may be other use cases. So let's take a look at that and do an example here. So we are going to now move a set of portfolios using this move set of portfolios, which appears right here. And let's take a look at the example here in the PowerPoint and see what we're going to do. So we have portfolios in an electronic collection called Biomed Central Open Access Free. And then we're going to move them to another electronic collection called OA Pen Free. And the three portfolios which we're going to move are these three which are listed here: the European Journal, the Marine Biodiversity, and the BMC Pharmacology. I saw that there was a question about the portfolio loader. Let's save that question because we're going to be talking about the portfolio loader later in the session. So here we go. So first of all, we need to start at the electronic collection, which is the source. In other words, we need to start from the electronic collection from which the electronic portfolios will be moving and not the one to which they will be moving. So let's take a look at our portfolio list. We could go directly here and see the portfolio list, but we want to go in through the service. Okay, so let's say now, here's one here, for example, the European Journal of Medical Research, Marine Biodiversity, BMC Pharmacology. They're all, here it is. So we want to move those three. So the first thing we need to do is make a set, an electronic portfolio set, in order to move them. So let's create the set. So we'll say admin manage sets, and we'll create an itemized set. It can be any kind of set, but we'll create an itemized set. And I will call this ERM 201 move portfolios. I won't make it private, but that really doesn't matter. And it should be of type electronic portfolios. And let's create it. And I'm going to do it from search. We'll just search for those three portfolios, and then we'll be able to quickly and easily create the set. So here's the first portfolio. And we said we want to move this from, let's make sure we know, from Biomed Central Open Access Free. So here it is. We'll take this and we'll say add selected. That's the first one. Then we'll take the marine biodiversity records and move that one as well. Biomed Central Open Access Free, which is the one we said we want to move from. Add that one, and the last one, BMC Pharmacology and Toxicology. And we'll grab that one as well. And add that to the set. So now we've got 3 portfolios in the set. I'll click Done. Let's confirm that those portfolios really are in the set. Here's the set we made right now. ERM 201-201, move portfolios. I'll click Content, and here they are. Now let's move them. So now we've got them in a set, just like we said here we need to do. And we will go to the source, to the source collection, the one they're moving from. And we're going to click Move Set of Portfolios from the Portfolios tab of the Service Editor. So let's go to the electronic collection, and here we are. We'll go right to that Portfolios tab. And now we'll say Move Set of Portfolios. So set name, we just made our set now, so we'll click here and choose the set. Here we are. Now the destination electronic collection, where do we want to move them to? Let's see where we want to move them to. We want to move them to OA Pen Free. So we'll say here, electronic collection name, OA Pen Free. We'll select this electronic collection. It automatically filled in the full text because it knows what the service is for those. And in any case, that's our only option. Then there's some informative information, which is definitely worth pointing out here. The PO lines will also move with the portfolios, the licenses, the PDAs, if you have a PDA program, everything from the portfolio basically will move with it. It's more of a it's not only a informative statement, but a warning, let's say. And we'll say move. So that sends a job in the background here. We've only got 3 portfolios we're moving. It's going to be a fairly quick job. In fact, it's already done. Here we are. Move portfolios completed successfully, processed 3 records. We could now, for example, go in and look at the collection. We can also go into the set here and see if they really did move. So here's our set. Let's say content now. And now you see they have moved. They have moved to the OA Pen Free. And let's go into here. And it's moved. So they are now in the new electronic collection, and they successfully moved. Also, if I were to come into the OA Pen Free, that's the one we moved it to, and either go into the portfolio list here. This is a portfolio list which is not part of the electronic service editor. We will see those here. Here's the European Journal of Medical Research, the Marine Biodiversity, and there was another one here, this one here, BMC Pharmacology. Those are the ones we moved. Okay, so let's just make sure we covered everything. Then I'm going to look at the chat and see what's going on there. But this is what we did. We clicked Move Set of Portfolios. We chose the set and the destination electronic collection. We saw that the job completed. And I thought I turned that off. I apologize. You see, it's not open here. In any case, let me say quit. Sorry about that. So everything moved. And we're all set on that. Okay, the job ran, everything moved, and we'll move on to our next activity. But first, let's go see the chat. So, chat, okay. Okay, someone wrote no questions yet. Okay, and someone said thank you. Okay, someone says our libraries, oh, that's the one about the portfolio loader. Let's save on that one because we're going to talk about the portfolio loader very soon. Is it also possible to identify, someone says, is it also possible to identify the portfolios which I want to move to another collection per title in the full text portfolio list of the service editor, or is creating a set absolutely necessary? Well, the way I did it, it's absolutely necessary because let me go back into where I was here. When we're in an electronic collection, let me go to the service editor, edit service. So if we are using move set of portfolios, then it has to be a set. And that's the way it should be done with the set. From here, there's no, for example, clicking the action items and saying, move the portfolio. You can link a portfolio to a different bibliographic record, but not to, let's go into the edit here as well. Yes, you need to use the set to do as the name suggests, move a set of portfolios. Here I'm in the portfolio editor, and also here, there's no button or anything, move to another electronic collection. It's via a set. And usually it's logical that it's via a set because you want to take a lot of them from a specific electronic collection, usually to another electronic collection. Now, the way I searched, I could have done it more efficiently in the sense that when I was searching to make the set, I searched by the electronic portfolio and then found the one which was already in my electronic collection. However, it's possible to do an electronic portfolio search, which already includes the electronic collection name. So I could say, for example, I want the electronic collection name to be OA Pen free. And then I can also say, and the title is whatever. Well, here's one of my titles. So then I'm already getting ones which are in, that's not the right one. I wanted the name of the portfolio. Sorry about that. Marine biodiversity. Okay. So then my search is already limited to a specific electronic collection. I could even come in here and from here search portfolios only by the electronic collection and do search. And then I have portfolios here, and then it's more efficient for creating the set. Okay, let me see the chat, and then let's move on here. Is it also possible to identify the portfolios? Okay, that one we just did now. If we make changes to a collection that is linked to the community zone, for instance, move some portfolios, would those changes be reflected in the community zone too, or just on your institutional level? Only on your institutional level, not in the community zone. We, Ex Libris, keep our community zone according to what the vendor is supplying us in the community zone. Okay, another activity which can be done and is popular to be done in the electronic service editor is the activate and deactivating. And here you can choose several all at once, and then all of those activate or deactivate. So for example, if we take any of those electronic collections which we already searched, for example, let's take the Biomed Central Open Access Free, which has 338 portfolios. We can go to the service, to the edit full text portfolios, which is bringing me, as we stated before, to the electronic service, already to the portfolios tab. And then rather than doing a one-by-one deactivate, this is deactivate because they're already active, I can choose multiples And then from here, either activate or deactivate all of them. So I'm going to deactivate these, deactivate the selected. And now those portfolios are not active. You can see here that it's got the gray icon as opposed to the blue icon. And that's not only in here, I will save. It's not only in here, but also if we were to search for that portfolio, electronic portfolios, we'll see that it is now no longer active. So we were in Biomed Central Open Access Free, and we can see here that it's not active. It's got the gray icon as opposed to the blue icon. Let's go back into the electronic collection to the Biomed Central Open Access Free. And back to the full text portfolios. Here we are in the service. Here's our 3 not active. So this is going to say activate instead of deactivate if we want to do one by one. Or we can take these 3 and say we want to activate the selected. By the way, even if I was to take another one, which is already active, and say activate selected, they'll simply all be activated. The one that's already active, nothing happens to it. It remains active as it was. It's not a toggle. It's not change from active to deactivate. It's activate or not activate. Let's just go back to the PowerPoint here, make sure I covered everything. The activate, okay, so this is what we said here. We can do it from the action items, which is this, or we can do it via a set. Okay, another comment here. Let's go back into the other comment. One moment. Okay. So, chat. Regarding the question about moving individual titles, I noticed that there is actually a move option on the portfolio list menu, which seems to allow this. Yes, correct, but it's not the move set. But let's point that out, and thank you for bringing it up. Portfolio list menu. Okay. Are you referring to here? Just so we close this up quickly. Person who has the additional comment. He says here. So you could go one by one and start moving them. I think even if you have 3, it would probably be easier to do it with a set. 2, okay, but 1, you could do it this way. You can also do it one by one like this, just like we saw the activate, you can do one by one. Okay, thank you for bringing that up. Let's move on now. So now the portfolio loader. Before we even get in there, let me just point something out. So we have in Alma 2 types of files which can be used with the portfolio loader. One is a proprietary, it's called, proprietary being our own format, Ex Libris format. Then there's KBART. Both of those formats, you don't have to know the format or go to a source that already has the format, even though we have it in our online help, because you can export from within Alma either to KBART or to our proprietary format, and then you already have the format. And that's the recommended way. So we'll look at that. Now, there's a lot to do with the portfolio loader. We could have one session only on the portfolio loader, in fact. So we're just going to be pointing out key parts of the portfolio loader. Not every possible option, just certain options. And I have links here to other documentations for those who want to go more in depth. So what can we do with it? We can create new portfolios and have them automatically get added to the electronic collection. We're going to do that. We can update existing portfolios in the electronic collection. We're going to do that. And we can delete portfolios from electronic collection. That's via an input file by loading that. We're not going to be doing that today, but we'll see that the option exists. And this is a link to online help if you're interested in more. So it's accessed from the same place we've been working the whole time, which is the Portfolios tab of the Electronic Service Editor. And like I said here, you can use the Excel sheet or the KBART file. KBART is a standard out there in the world. Let me just copy that link and open it, even though I believe I have here, when we start talking about KBART, I've got what it stands for. So yeah, here, it's the Knowledge Bases and Related Tools file. That's what the KBART stands for. So let's start with an example using the portfolio loader with the Ex Libris Excel sheet, the proprietary format, our format, and we're going to load new portfolios to an electronic collection. Now, there's a sample file here, but again, I wouldn't recommend using it. I think the safest way to do this is to download one from within Alma and then just change it around. But we have this one here, portfolio loader template. And so you can just start filling in here. The advantage of using one, I would say a best practice as they call them, the advantage of exporting one from within Alma rather than using our template is it's already filled in, so you know how it should be filled in. So let's do that. We'll just follow here along so we cover everything. So let's take one. I'm going to take one without a lot of journals. Let's take that OA Open Access Free, I believe it was called. We'll say electronic collection. Okay. This has got 11, so we're not exporting hundreds and hundreds of portfolios. So we'll go in where we were to the Edit Full Text Portfolios, the Electronic Service Editor Portfolios tab. And in order to get a sample file, we will export here to what's called the extended report. So here it is. I will open this up in the folder and I will call this, instead of parentheses 2, I'll call it ERM 201 session 01 in case we make another one. So if we want to add now new portfolios to this electronic collection, it's going to create the portfolios and everything that's associated with the portfolios. We'll see that, what I mean by everything associated with the portfolios, in a minute. So these are ones that already exist. And let's say now I want to add a new one. So what I pointed out before is I already see how it appears as opposed to a blank one. So I'll leave these for now, but I will change them afterwards. So I'll give it an ISSN. I'll say, just use today's date. So later I'll be able to find it, 2023, 1031. We'll leave them, okay. And let's say I don't have another system number. Oh, I'll give it another system number, 1135, the local time. So that's enough for that. I don't need to give it a portfolio ID or an MMS ID. In fact, it would be useless because when it gets created, it gets a portfolio ID and an MMS ID. I'll give it a title. Let's call this the International Journal of Webinar Series. Series is, how do you say series in plural? If anyone knows, go ahead and feel free. Now the coverage. Let's say this is going to be from 1971 to 2023. And no months. That's going to be from volume 1 to volume 52. That's 52 years from 71 to 2023. That'll be from issue 1 to issue 52. Okay. Sorry, wrong row. And let's give it some more information here. So we want it active. And I'll say ERM Limited is the publisher. The place of publication is Louisville, Kentucky. The date of publication is 1971 through. And I'll give it a URL. And no proxy. And electronic material type will be journal. See, if I had the blank one now, I wouldn't already have these examples of how it's supposed to appear. And I believe that covers it. Library. Okay, so I've just added one very basic sample here. I'll also say that this will be the coverage. It's possible to have coverage on 2 levels. Activation date, I won't fill in. It'll get active whenever I activate it in Alma. So that's one example. Let's do another example here very quickly. So this will be, just so I add 2 of them. So this will be a 2. This will be an 8. And this will be, this is the International Journal. And this will be the European. And this will be from 2021 to 2023. Just so I have an example here, and this will be from volume 1 to volume 3. Okay, and we will take this 2020. And we'll just change the URL and then we're done. Oh, it's going to webinar. It's going to our journal. Okay. We will call this European. Okay, save. That's enough. Okay, so that's saved. Now we're going to use the portfolio loader to load it. And again, let's get rid of these here. Those are the originals that we just left in there so we'd know how to set it up. And we'll close it. All right, so from here, we'll say load portfolios. We're using the portfolio loader format, the Excel. Later, we're going to use the KBART. I'll choose here a file. Here's the file we just made. Now, if I choose complete, someone asked in the last session about the complete and the incremental. If I say complete, it will replace everything. If I say incremental, it will just make changes based on what's in the Excel file. Sometimes that's referred to as append. This is just an example here of what we just filled in. So incremental and complete. It states here, I already stated, complete loads a complete set of portfolios overwriting the existing portfolios, whereas incremental will make changes to the existing list. In our operation here, well, first of all, let's say we want incremental. Now notice when we set incremental, here's our operation. We could leave ones that are in there already to delete them, but we're going to add new ones, or we could update existing ones. But let's say we want to do now delete. And what do we want to, no, we don't want to do delete. We want to do add, sorry, add new. So we're adding new ones, and this validate online or validate offline, the job does a validation. And while it's validating, the screen is taken. So if you have a very large file and you want to send it all to a background job instead of waiting for the validation to occur online, you can check here validate offline, as it states there, recommended for large files. I will say next. Oh, I forgot to choose the input file. Okay. Now I will say next. Okay, 2 portfolios will be activated. 2 bibliographic records will be created. If you recall, I said, and everything associated with the portfolio. That's the bibliographic records. And let's load them. So we've only got 2 here, so it will be fast, but let's go take a look. Admin monitor jobs. It's running. We'll say refresh. Queued. Okay, so let's take a second or two. We won't keep doing queued here. We'll be patient. Oh, there it is, running. Okay, done. So here's the job. Completed successfully. 2 records were processed. Let's go into our electronic collection. Here it is. Now we have 13. Previously we had 11. And let's go to the list. And where are the ones we added? Here it is. The European Journal of Webinar Series. The International Journal of Webinar Series. Let's say now we want to delete them with that file. Although let's move on to the KBART because we got 15 minutes left. You know what? Let's delete them. Let's export here. I'm going to export again. And this time, show in folder. This time we'll call our file number 2. And I'm only going to keep now in that file the ones we want to delete. So I want to delete now. Let me go to the titles, enable editing. This is another one I'm going to delete. So I will delete, I'm going to delete the last 3, which are the 2 we added now and 1 in Hebrew. So we have 13 portfolios right now, and I'm going to leave only the ones I want to delete. And we'll save that. So now if we load, we'll choose the file. We're choosing the portfolio loader. We're going to do KBART in a moment. And it's going to be incremental. And we are going to delete. Okay. And I'm going to delete the bibliographic records as well. Let's see. Next. Forgot the file again. Oh, it's not that I forgot the file. If you start playing around here, after you load the file, the file gets removed. So first you got to choose what you want and then the file. Here we go. Next, let's make sure we got everything correct. Incremental delete. Next. And load. Someone asked why I didn't put the J key before the URL in the files I loaded. No specific reason, just because I want to show how to load a file with portfolios. The focus was the format of the Excel and loading the Excel and how to load it and what are the options, add, new, delete. Although you don't always need J key. When you have a static URL, you don't need the J key anyway. So let's say admin monitor jobs. This one ran even quicker. It says 3 records are processed. So if I go now to that electronic collection, I should have 10 now instead of 13, if I remember the numbers correctly. Yep, I got 10. Great. And if we go to that portfolio list, we will no longer have the Hebrew one and whichever ones I had in my input file. Okay. Let's now talk about the KBART. So the KBART, the best way to get the format of the KBART is to export it, although we have a link in the online help also to the KBART file. However, again, let's just export it and see. The KBART file is a standard, not Ex Libris. It's not our invention. It's a tab delimited file. And let's take a look. So if I have a set, then we can export that set. So let's say, for example, I search electronic portfolios here. I'll do an advanced search, and I want electronic portfolios where the electronic collection name is OA Pen Free. And I will save this. Okay. You notice we don't have the Journal of International Webinars and the European Journal of European Webinars, whatever we called them. They've been deleted. So I'm going to save this, save query. It's a type electronic portfolios, and I'll call this electronic, looks like portfolios and electronic collection OA Pen Free. Now we're going to export this into KBART so we have the format. Save. Okay, and let's take a look at it just to be sure everything's good. Content. Here they are. There's 10 here. I just want to confirm something else. We go here, electronic collection name, OA Pen Free. We've got 10 here. We come here. We've also got 10. Again, we don't have our International Journal of whatever we said here. The International Journal of Webinar Series, the European Journal of Webinar Series, and the Hebrew one we don't have because they were deleted. Let's now create the KBART. So we'll run a job. Usually you don't need to do what I'm doing now. Usually people get the KBART from a vendor. When a KBART file is used, it's received from a vendor. So we're going to export now, but I'm showing how you can create one and how we can discuss the format. So we'll say export electronic portfolios. And I'll choose the one we just made now. And these are the formats of that we can choose. And I'm going to choose the KBART schema. And that's all for our purposes. Next. And next. Okay, so that's running. And in a moment or two, we'll get the KBART file. It's done. So let's go get the KBART file. Here's the job, completed successfully on 10 records. Here it is. And let me save this, download. Okay. I'm also going to rename this show in folder. And I'll just call it ERM201 a rig in case we want to change it. Okay. There's two ways to open it, a KBART file, to make it easy. One way is to open it in Excel. For example, I'm going to close this. If I say now File Open, it's a tab delimited file. So if I go here to that new file we made, Downloads, here it is, ERM 201, blah, 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 blah. Is that the one we made now? Oh, no, I want to get text. Sorry about that. Here's ours, ERM 201, a rig, text. So because it's tab delimited, Excel can open it tab delimited. My data does have headers. I like to use here UTF-8, but that's because I often have other character sets. But if you just have regular Latin, actually, I would recommend using Unicode, but we don't want to go too in depth on a lesson on using Excel and tab delimited files. But even the European accents and things, diacritics, it's always nice to do it in Unicode UTF-8. Tab delimited, everything's good. Next, finish. So here's my file now, being able to read nicely. This is my KBART file, being able to read nicely in Excel. Now, if you make changes to it, you have to remember to save it as a .txt and not an Excel file, but you can easily manipulate and see where things are. I'm going to close it without saving. Now, on the other hand, you can open it in Notepad++ or any other, what's the word? Editor, text editor you have. Now I can see here the tab delimits because I have view, show symbol, excuse me, show space and tab. I'm just going to make a brief change to this just to show the process. So the Journal of Webinars starts in 1971. Let's go look here at our electronic portfolios. So let's just go to our set. That'll be the fastest way to see them. And here they are. So let's say, just for the sake of changing something, we'll take multidisciplinary respiratory medicine, and it's now from 2013, volume 5, issue 1, and I want to change that or change something else, but we see what there is there now. Let's even edit the portfolio here and go to coverage. So I'm going to change this. And I'm going to say it's actually from 2008, volume 1 available. 2008, volume 1. So what is that? The respiratory something? Multidisciplinary respiratory medicine. So here's my file. Here it is. And here's the valuable from, which is first data, first issue. So I'm going to say this is actually 2008, volume 1. That's enough for our example. Save. Let me say save as. Instead of a rig, I'll call it new. Save. Okay, so now I have a KBART file. The same thing is in here, by the way. You can see everything that we're doing now is here. And same thing here. We looked at the valuability. We changed it. That's the example here as well. Here I changed more than just one. And now again, we're going to do the load portfolios. This time we're going to choose KBART, complete, and update. Because we have all of the portfolios already in the file, not only the new ones. So we're using complete and we're using update. So let's go back to the electronic collection. I'll close this so it won't be locked. And again, we know that multidisciplinary respiratory starts now 2013, volume 5. Let's go to the electronic collection, OA pen free, straight to the electronic service, load, and here we go. So KBART, complete an update, choose the file. Here's the new one. Complete, update, next, load. Okay, so that's running. Let's make sure it's running. Refresh. I could say, let's save time and already start the next one, but let's just give it a second. There we go. There we go. 100% and done. Okay, so now if we go look at that again, back to the electronic collection, back to the service. And the one was the respiratory medicine. Here it is. Now it's 2008 volume 1, and you will recall it used to be 2013 volume 5. So it was updated. All the others stayed the same because we downloaded the file, didn't change any of the others, and updated. Okay, while we're looking at these, and we already have a set, if you recall, of journal. Let's make another set because we removed and added. What we're going to do now is use the job, which updates electronic portfolios, to make global changes. Until now, we've showed ways to make changes using the various options here in the global changes, using the various options here in the Portfolios tab of the Electronic Service Editor. Now, we're going to be doing this via the job. So let's make that set. I'm going to make the set a little faster now. I'll search by electronic portfolios, and I'll say where electronic collection name is OA Pen free. So I've got 10 here. I'm going to save the query and call this portfolios in OA Pen free. I'll call it this 002. The reason I'm making another set is because we added and removed since last time we played, and it wasn't a logical set. A logical set, if it was based on the name of the collection, like it is now, we wouldn't have had to make a new one. In any case, now I want to change things in these. Now, for example, maybe I want to add a public note to them all, or who knows what. So let's take a look at the European Journal of Medical Research, just as an example. Edit portfolios notes. It doesn't have any notes. But if I want to add a note to all of them, or to 5 of them, and I have 5 of them in a set, I can come to admin, run a job, and say I want to do the information update, which will be change electronic portfolio information. And then we'll choose our set. Here's the one we made now. It's got 002 at the end. And I will say here, let's add a public note. May require login when off campus. Unconditionally, you can do it if the field is empty, if the field's not empty, because maybe you only want to do it if it's empty, you don't want to overwrite something. Okay, next. And submit. Okay, so that's running. This one didn't queue, it automatically started running. Already done. Let's go to that same search again where we did electronic connection name OA Pen free. Here it is. And this was the example we used, European Journal of Medical Research, now has a note, and there it is. Okay, We are out of time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. The recording will be posted, as it always is, and we'll be sending out a message that the recording is ready. It will be on our YouTube channel. It will be accessible from the initial page of the webinar series, which we showed before. And we hope to see everybody next week. Thanks a lot, and have a nice day.